mean, I said this in Australia during the Voice campaign. So the focus of the pro-voice people was Indigenous people living in remote communities. What percentage of Indigenous people live in remote communities? It's something like 15%. Don't hold me to that, but it's something like 15%. And I appreciate there are all sorts of issues that need to be dealt with there. I've visited the remote communities and you know them incredibly well. You had some of those communities in your electorate, I remember, and remember you talking about them in Cabinet. So they were represented, by the way, in Cabinet by you on many.
Absolutely. And I did care about them. I particularly cared about the kids.
Yeah, of course. But we're going to set up a consultative body for all Indigenous people. What I used to say, including people with Indigenous heritage. I mean, that might not be 100% of their heritage, but Indigenous heritage who live in Vaucluse or in Toorak. I mean, you know, who are millionaires, who are incredibly successful, powerful people in Parliament who are Indigenous. We need to set up a consultative body that embraces all of them just on the basis of their racial heritage. I mean, it's so divisive to run a society like that. So in the UK, I think the public have just had enough of it. The sort of continual denigration of the vast majority of people who are white, some of whom are poor, some of whom have real trouble with literacy and high incidence of criminality, poor living standards, poor health. A lot of white people are in that situation, not just people of colour. And some people of colour, as I've said, are powerful, such as the Prime Minister. And they're, the Home Secretary, he is a person of colour. The Business Secretary, Trade and Business Secretary, she's a person of colour. It's not the issue what colour they are. It is a characteristic over which they had no say, they were born with. There are different issues about education and opportunity and so on. But I think this is just toxic to divide the world up on the basis of races. And you know, this sort of colonial legacy, it's all the fault of colonialism, everything's the fault. So you're a brutal dictator, totally corrupt in an African country, and the country's going to the dogs. And you say, well, the reason we're having problems in our country is because of a colonial legacy. Nothing to do with me, officer. I mean, seriously, we shouldn't be tolerating this anymore. There should be, I mean, my big point, excuse me, you know, talking so passionately about this, but my big point is that people on the mainstream of society and their political leaders, the realists, if you like, the common sense people, they've allowed themselves to be browbeaten by the progressive left. They're frightened. They're frightened of the progressive left. They're frightened of some headline in the Guardian or the Melbourne Age or someone condemning them as a racist. They're frightened.